Let's bring in ABC News White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks, along with investigative reporter Katherine Faulders and Jay O'Brien up on Capitol Hill. So actually, let me begin with Katherine, who's following the investigation, this story of how President Biden came to have classified information in his possession in two locations long after he was vice president. Katherine, did we learn anything about some of the key questions here?
I don't think that we did learn much more about the key questions here. You heard reporters in that briefing, including our own Mary Bruce and Karen Travers, really ask the White House press secretary more about this. How did the documents get there? Is the president confident that there are no more classified documents in various other locations? Now, she said, the White House press secretary said that this search by at least the president's advisors has been completed, but there are still some more questions than answers. You heard reporters in there ask about what the president said earlier as it relates to his personal library, a document being discovered there. That differs from the statement that the White House released, saying that a document was found in an adjacent room. Karine Jean-Pierre couldn't even answer whether that adjacent room was, in fact, the personal library. So we don't have any clarity on that. There were questions about why just yesterday one of the president's aides found another document as a search has been ongoing since it appears November. We still don't know what's in those documents. They want to know that. Who had access to the documents? Did the documents move in any way? You heard a reporter ask one of those last questions there, asking specifically about the transport of the documents and if they had stopped at a secure location once they were discovered. All of these things are what federal investigators want to know the answers to. Now, she did say that once the president's lawyers and his advisors discovered documents, that they immediately notified proper channels. They told the National Archives. They notified the U.S. attorney after more were discovered at the end of December here, the U.S. attorney who was conducting that preliminary review. So it appears that the president's advisors and lawyers did, once they were discovered, notify the government that they had been found, that additional documents have been found. Of course, that differs from the case with former President Trump, who's been claiming the documents are his. But in the case of Biden, still a lot of questions here about what's in these documents. How did they end up in these locations? And exactly how many documents were there, and what were they about, Terry?
Absolutely. Those are the questions that we didn't get many answers to. MaryAlice, I do want to come to one thing that Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, and that is that we are being transparent. She's quite insistent on the transparency that the Biden White House has shown on this. And yet she was asked a couple of times, well, you knew about this in November before the elections and didn't tell the American people about that. And how transparent is that? It does seem that she is defending a position here that at least is contestable.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a real distinction here between cooperating with federal investigators and being transparent to the public. You know, our job as reporters in those briefings is to represent the American people, the average voter, the average citizen, and who deserve answers from their White House. And for her to repeatedly say that they are both cooperating with the DOJ, but that they're being transparent when there are obviously basic factual questions that they're still not willing to engage on and give answers to. I mean, Katherine pointed out some of them. You know, it was a little strange to me that she wouldn't just clarify, is the adjacent room that's in the statement the same as the library? Are we talking about the same place here? Mary Bruce asked a very straightforward question. What is it the case that the DOJ retrieved documents, or was there a search of the entire garage or of an entire house? She wouldn't answer that. You know, basic questions about who keeps what logs of who comes to the president's residence there in Wilmington. You know, these are fact-based questions that I think that the American people deserve answers to, and being transparent with the public is different and separate from also cooperating with federal investigators. And I think that she's going to continue to get all of these questions, not only from investigators, but from the average reporter.
Yeah, and she's going to have to come up with maybe more than a couple of lines that she'll repeat for whatever it was, 45 minutes. But Jay O'Brien, it's one thing to stonewall reporters, it's another thing to stonewall committees of Congress. And have you got a sense, certainly the Republicans have already said they're going to look into this, what that would look like, what that might look like? I mean, they were talking about some kind of special committee to look into various things. Where would this go? Who might the players be? Have you got any sense of that at this point? Is it too early days?
Well, it looks like it's all going to fall into the House Oversight Committee's lap. That's run by James Comer. He said while that press briefing was ongoing in a statement that with or without a special counsel, House Oversight is going to look into these Biden documents. As to those questions that Katherine and MaryAlice laid out in a great way, how many documents were there, where were they, and why wasn't the second batch of documents disclosed to the American people as soon as the first batch of documents was disclosed? That last question of those three, that's not necessarily something a special counsel investigates, right? Special counsels are, did you break the law? Did you not break the law? Let's issue our report, et cetera, et cetera. But that is something that a committee of Congress can really probe into, Terry. So I can tell you, you can expect House Republicans on the Oversight Committee to pick at that scab about why wasn't the Biden White House being as transparent as perhaps some Republicans, some of the American public would have liked.
And certainly they're going to ask if any of those documents had anything to do with Ukraine, where Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was there, essentially kind of buck-raking off his dad's name at the same time that Joe Biden was the point person in the Obama administration on that. There are real dangers here for the president. And Jay and MaryAlice and Katherine, I know you're going to be on this. We're probably going to be on this for a good while. Thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.